First of all, I wish I would have known that this event existed, because all the advice these women have given tonight has been great, and that would have helped tremendously to start my path. But I mentioned earlier that I had decided for a career change because although I love my coworkers, I was bored with my job and really wanted something that I was passionate about. And so one day, since I was bored, I went on the internet and just started Googling some things. I went back, kind of thought back, what did I like as an undergrad? What really, sparked my interest? And I even looked at previous jobs that I had had. One of the jobs at the Ohio State University was creating groundwater and surface water maps. And I had actually had a class in GIS, Geographic Information Systems, which is basically just taking geographic data and mapping it. So everybody's familiar with Google Earth. That's GIS is behind the scenes creating that. So I thought about that, and then I just started Googling GIS in schools, and lo and behold, University of Washington came up, and that they had a certificate program. And I'm glad I Googled it on the day that I did, because I found out I had 3 weeks to apply to get in that fall quarter. And there was tons of things to do before then. The resume, the application, the $50 fee to get in, all of that. And so I scrambled, I got that together, and I submitted it, and then you sit and wait. But meanwhile, they did have this event, so I had Googled more things like what else is at UW. And I just kept trying to figure out what could I get involved in, because even though I had submitted my application, I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to see what else was out there, because I didn't know what I didn't know. So this event came up, and I actually thought, well, that might be a good time to network with some of the other students, network with some of the faculty showed up, and I found on the list of people that were going to be attending the table was actually some of the board of directors that were making the decision on who would get into this Geographic Information Systems certificate program. So I went and I introduced myself. I said I applied, asked them some questions about their job, about the field in general, had made a comment that it had been about 13 years since I had been an undergrad and actually taken a class in GIS, and was it even feasible to be thinking about getting into a certificate program? And they thought it was, so that gave me hope. And I got in, so I was very excited by that. And then I realized there was also a prerequisite for getting into the program. So because it started in the fall, I had plenty of time during the summer to be able to pick up that prerequisite and be done by fall quarter. And then getting back into school was a challenge too. After being out of school for 13 years, I thought, not a big deal, but it is. It's a drain. Emotionally, physically, you're constantly running from work, going to class, then having to go home and do homework. And one of the challenges I had was with family. You have to really think about, before you make that decision, whether you go to grad school or you do a certificate program, is how does this impact my family? So what they estimate right now for my grad school program is for a 5 credit hour class, between 25 and 30 hours minimum per week, studying, reading, things like that. So what I did was I put up a schedule on the wall, a calendar on the wall, and I mapped out where can I carve out those 25 to 30 hours of time, because it is a lot of commitment. It's a lot of having to say to your kids, oh, I'm sorry, I can't go to your soccer event or something like that. So think about the impact to your family. So then I got through the certificate program while I was on my last quarter, and another one of these events popped up, and I decided I was just going to pop in and figure out and introduce myself to other people, see what's next. Again, it's a networking event to see who showed up at the GIS certificate table, but also to see if there's something else, because GIS, now that there's been a recession, they're starting to look for basically 2 people in one. So what other skill sets can you offer them besides just GIS? So I went there and I found out that next to the GIS table was a new graduate program in GIS. So I talked to the professor who was promoting it, and I applied for that. And what I had to do was you have to go online for this graduate school, and when you apply online, they have a checklist basically of things that you have to fill out. The GRE, you have to do your essays, and the application, the fees, all of that. So what I did is I counted back. I found out on the GRE website that it said, lights went out.
There's a light switch right back there by the, thank you very much, appreciate that.
I discovered that it takes approximately 6 weeks from the time you take the GRE test for those results to officially get to the university. So I counted back 8 weeks to give myself some time in case there was a glitch, and that's when I scheduled to take the exam. I was actually on a very fast track to be able to apply because it was a new program. I had found out about it in May, and I had till July 15th to get everything done. So I don't recommend taking such a short time studying for the GRE. But I also looked at what was my weaknesses regarding the GRE. And my weakness was math. So that's what I focused on. But I did still take some time and look at the formula basically of how do you do the essays and how do you answer all the other questions. So, and then writing the essays, I had to write 2 separate essays, which to me were very similar. So I had kind of a difficult time there. But I had an English major friend who she actually read everything I wrote, and she would provide feedback. And it was great because I always needed a second pair of eyes to review what I was doing, because after a while it all looks the same to you. And even leaving it for a week and coming back to it. So that was really, really, really helpful. But the other thing I wanted to tell you guys about is during this whole career change thing, I was actually laid off from work. So on top of trying to figure out how am I going to pay for college, I'm also trying to find a full-time job. And what do I do because I'm in the middle of a career change? Do I apply for jobs with my old job, what I used to do, or do I move forward? Because if I'm truly committed to doing the career change, then wouldn't they want to see what I was trying to move towards? So what I found out, and as part of being on unemployment, is that the certificate program was one of, there are several out there that qualified during unemployment. So you still got unemployment benefits, but you could still go to school. They didn't pay for it, but at least I had that option where I didn't have to worry about work right away. And so if anybody who's on unemployment, you might want to check that out because there's lots of programs out there that meet that match. So just look on the unemployment website for that.